One-upping people. Nobody is impressed. So what is one-upmanship in the conversation arena? It's when that one person always seems to have had it better, worse, or grander than you, and without hesitation is ready to remind everybody the moment you've finished speaking. We all know about this person. Sometimes we've been this person. Guilty, guilty. Some people one-up without even thinking about it. Others make it a part of their entire conversational makeup. The point is, most of the time, the person being one-upped, the one-uppee, I guess, well, they hate it. Not to be lumped in with people sharing similar experiences for the sake of common empathy or continuing a conversation by going back and forth with relatable stories about work or your kids or whatever. This blurb is specifically about the act of knocking down a person's story by immediately boasting about something more grandiose. So why do people do this? My theory, based on experience, is that there are two kinds of people who are most prone to one-up. The first is the fabulist, somebody who must always, always have the most interesting and spectacular existence, and their way of proving it is by leaping over somebody else's experience and staking their storied claim, whether real, embellished, or outwardly fabricated, as bigger, thereby snuffing out whatever attention the original speaker fostered. You see, sometimes it's not about getting the attention, it's about keeping it out of the reach of others. The other type of person is more specific to a certain topic, so a camping enthusiast might never let anybody else tell a story about a big fish they caught, or the person with the drinking problem might never let anybody tell a story about a late night of revelry, etc. It doesn't actually really matter why people do it. You're not going to fix them. And so it's better to just let people be as irritating as they are instead of blowing things up and calling them out. Because in doing so, and perhaps unfairly, one might end up the villain. After all, calling somebody out can be seen as worse than the infraction being called out upon. So how do you deal with one-upmanship, short of grumbling about the person when they aren't around or fantasizing about applying duct tape to their mouth when they talk? One could simply have the constitution to let them live in their fantasy world. They are only doing themselves a disservice socially, not you, so maybe just let them have it. It is, after all, not malicious or hurtful behavior. In fact, one might even say the one-upper is somebody to be pitied or felt sorry for. However, if things become a bit too much with somebody, say, like the fabulist, try leaning into their stories and ask lots of follow-up questions. That can cause the fabulist to pump the brakes and maybe change the subject. That is not, by the way, an indictment on the truth behind the fabulist story. As some people really do have incredible and interesting experiences, it's just a way to get them to run out of gas. In future, they won't offer up as many stories, and when they do, they'll be closer in keeping with the flow of the conversation, rather than a stage for their opportunity to shine. As for the one-upper with specific topics, just avoid those certain topics if you don't want to be dwarfed. Don't tell the ex-con about your speeding ticket if you don't want to hear about the time they got tasered on the QEW. Don't tell the former minor hockey player about how many goals you scored in beer league, unless you want to hear about the time they were overlooked in the 1994 entry draft because Ed Jovanovski got credit for a goal they scored. In the end, it is tactful conversation and accepting of others' faults that gets us through the battle against the one-upper. It's a faux pas amongst many that people have been and will be prone to making from time to time, so let's not cast too many stones. Besides, as long as you know how great and interesting you are, well, little else compares.